chose number 1, you are like Annie from Bastardized, Carolina. She knows that Glenn violently abuses her child, but she chooses to stay with him. You little CUNT. I should have done this a long time ago. You've always wanted it. Don't tell me you don't. His knee pushed my legs further apart, and his big hand leisurely smashed against the side of my face. He laughed then, as if he liked the feel of my blood on his fist, and he hit me again. I opened my mouth to scream, and his hand closed around my throat. I'll give you what you really want, he said, and his whole weight came down hard. My scream was raspy and low around his hand on my throat. He fumbled with his fingers between my legs, opened me, and then reared back slightly, looking down into my face with burning eyes. If you chose number 2, you are like Huck from Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. He runs away from his abusive father, and his family is torn apart. And that's the end of our game.
That was like a game. That was some deep questions that got me thinking.
We did our critique page on Twitter. So basically, I started out, and like our general feelings is like it wasn't as exciting as I thought it was gonna be. It's kind of a letdown.
I saw that tweet. I was so confused.
But when we heard like the summaries of the book and like what we like read online, it sounded like there was a lot more action throughout the whole book, but it kind of was just like really good at some points and got really slow for like some chapters. And then that's kind of what Lauren said here. Expected to have more action, and we rated the book. We did. So got like 2 stars. And then so these things right here are kind of some things that we rated on. We rated on character development, point of view, humor, and then how compelling it is. So for character development, we rated a 3 because there's really no background on Glenn. Like people are always asking questions about him, but they're never really answered. And then aside from the boat rides, which are like Annie and Bone, nothing else is developed. So there's really no background to the story. And then the point of view is a 5 because it's easy to follow along with, and we can understand where Bone was coming from. Not that we've been in her shoes, but like just that she would feel that way. And also there was no confusion. And then humor, it wasn't really funny. And then compelling, it was more interesting at certain parts where there was more action than others. And then Sydney says, no one knows what goes on behind closed doors, which I feel like is a kind of like an overrunning theme because nobody knows, like even her like distant family doesn't know what's happening, only Bone and those people in the house know that it's happening to her. And then Charlize basically said what we all said. And then Lauren, want to explain yours?
I said that for my critique about what I would change for the book is that I would change the pace because the book started off very slow and then something would happen and then that happened for a couple pages and then it would continue to die down and then something would happen and then it would die down and then it was the end of the book and it was over. So if I were to change something, I would change the pace and have it be more action than just stop and go.
In the book, the only conflict there was like Glenn was beating Bone, so I think it'd be better if they had different stuff, so like maybe there was a tornado, or maybe there's an earthquake, and then more stuff would happen. But it's literally the only conflict was beating, so it's kind of weird.
And then for mine too, I said like what I did enjoy was that like Bone nor Glenn fit the archetype of a protagonist and antagonist in Southern literature. So like with the main characters and stuff, for him being like the villain and her being the victim, like I felt like the way that like Bone handled the abuse and like the way that she like handled herself throughout the book was much different from like in other ones, because I feel like in other like Southern literature books or like coming of age books, they kind of like reflect back on themselves as like being a victim, where she was like, I'm the problem and like I need to fix myself. Like it wasn't like, oh, I have to fix myself and like become this better person, but it was like, what am I doing wrong? Why does he keep doing this? But he loves me, so maybe there's nothing really wrong. You know, like I don't know what the difference is between love and that. So I thought that was like different from other books that I've read. And then first in like the beginning of the book, there were a lot of scenes and like people that were explained for pages and pages that did not really make any influential changes or development to the story or to any of the scenes in the book that I felt like were important.
And then kind of going off like what we all kind of thought that it was kind of dry. The most exciting part of the book was the end. Well, it wasn't exciting, but like it had the most action because that's when like Glenn would like kind of like abuse Bone throughout the whole entire book, but it was never actually like he never actually like molested her or anything until like the very end. So like you kind of got like sights of it, but until the very end, like after when he actually like beat Bone because he blamed her that Annie wouldn't be with him because he thought it was her fault. So the end of the book is truly like the best part of the book. So it sucks that you had to like wait till the end to get there. But it was like really good. I think I just wish that it would have had more like there would have been other things going on besides just her because it was kind of like the same thing over and over again. Oh yeah.
I like your idea, Duval.
Yeah,
Wanted to
so
share.
my critique basically is just this kind of a combination of all of them saying the same thing, how there were really only a few parts of like climax throughout the book, and it was really waiting until the end to like for a bigger like picture for something to happen. So I would agree with Lauren in saying that the pace I wish was a little faster, but how Chi-Chi was saying it was more of her internal thinking of, well, why is it this, instead of her actually taking much action, which is something that I personally would have been a little more intrigued by, but it's,
Yeah, in the book, there was a lot of internal conflict between Bone and herself, rather than like an external conflict. I mean, obviously, if she's being abused, that's an external conflict, but it was mostly her like fighting with herself. Like, is this wrong? Like, am I wrong?
Yeah, like her road of trials wasn't really like her telling people and like no one believing her. It was more like, should I tell people, or like, should I open up about this? Should I show people my bruises? Am I weird because I'm more prone to violence now? But like, I don't feel like it's weird because it's what I go through and like it's just what I'm into now and stuff like that. So like, it wasn't a whole lot of like her doing things. It was more like her thinking things. Yeah, Timothy.
And then our overall theme of the book is love is a topic with subtitles. One person having love doesn't mean the same as another person having love.
And like, what this kind of is like trying to say is that, like, throughout the book, a lot of the time, like Glenn always says, like, he loves Annie. Oh, Annie, I love you so much. I love our children. And, like, his like definition of love is so much different than like other people's definition of love. And like within love, like you can love someone but not be in love with someone, or like the way you show love is much different than others. So like his way of showing love, I guess, to Bone was like abusing her and like taking advantage of her, and then his way of like showing love to Annie was like trying to go out and find a job and like provide for the family and stuff. So like it's pretty much just saying like one person can love one person another way, and then it means something completely else to like someone else.
And it also kind of relates to like how towards the end of the book when he does beat Bone to where like she like when he like molests her actually, like somebody walks in that on it happening, the mom like chooses Glenn over her own kid and like goes with Glenn instead of like with her daughter at the hospital. So that caused another internal conflict with Bone because she's like, well, obviously my mom doesn't love me if she chose the person who's abusing me over like her own daughter. So that's kind of where it relates to, like she says that she loves her daughter, but she's picking the person who like abused her daughter over her. So that's kind of like something that makes you think of the book too, like that's a different kind of love, like loving a spouse, but then loving your own daughter, like it's two different kind of things. So yeah, I feel like that just applies like to multiple things in the book, not just like one person.
Yeah, because like she loved her daughter, but she was in love with Glenn, and that was like the only thing that she could see.
So she finally came back, but the point that she left is kind of like the bad part.
And that's Bastard out of Carolina. Thank you guys for